Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I wanted to have a conversation with you about moving your rating upward. Could be anything. Could be going from a 30 to a 50, a 10 to a 30, a 70 to a 100, whatever the case may be for you. Now, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know that I often, reference that the VA is very nuanced. Everybody's situation's a little bit different and takes different levers to pull and different pedals to press and buttons to push and all that. So I'm just going to give you an example of what I would do if I were looking to try to increase my rating. Obviously, getting to 100% is a goal for some people if your disabilities warrant that, right? Getting rated appropriately is the most important thing, and in some cases that is going to take you to the 100% rating. Now, let's dive into it. Hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. Every single one of you that do that really does help the channel. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do that by becoming a member. Thank you so much to all you members. I really appreciate your support. All right, so moving from whatever rating you're at upward takes a few things. One, you need to understand where you currently are. Work with what you have. Take an inventory, if you will. Look at all of your conditions that you are already rated for. Number one, look at those conditions. Maybe you have 3, maybe you have 5, maybe you have 1. Look at your conditions. The next thing you're going to want to do is find that specific condition that you're rated for within the VA's rating schedules. Okay, that's in the CFR. You can do eCFR, which is the online version, right? So in some cases, look, it's cumbersome. I get it, and it's a pain, but it's worth it if you do the homework. Okay. Look into the CFR schedule of ratings for your specific condition. You could type in variations of that, rating schedule, your condition X, whatever that is, VA rating schedule, and hit search and it should show up. If it does not show up on the eCFR or somewhere like that, typically you're going to see it show up on lawyers' websites, right? So VA lawyer websites will typically have this information extracted from the schedule of ratings and put on their website for you. That's important. And I would say if you were to bet, it would probably be current information because that is their wheelhouse. I wouldn't trust it on just some random website that hasn't been updated for 14 years. If it's an active attorney's office, fairly large, it's going to be updated. So find your conditions, each one, and print out or save it somehow, the criteria, right? And read through it. Read through it. Are you rated at 10% for this condition? And does the rating schedule show that there's a 0, a 10, a 20, and a 30, for an example? Do you meet the criteria for the higher rating? Now, you may or may not be able to figure that out by reading it. You might have to actually go to your doctor and ask your doctor and work with them on the signs, symptoms, that type of stuff. If there's range of motion things, I mean, you can kind of figure that out. Migraines you can figure out by yourself. Hiatal hernia you can figure out by yourself. Sleep apnea, do you have a CPAP? Do you not? Currently, here we are, October of 2024. CPAP for service-connected sleep apnea would warrant you a 50% rating. So make sure that you are either rated appropriately for your conditions, or if you're not, what should you be rated at? Should you be rated higher? So for example, if you have a 10% migraine rating, but you think you warrant a 50%, well, that's something you need to kind of set aside and keep in mind. So you're going to go through all of your current ratings and understand where you're currently at and if there's room for an increase. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go through all of your service treatment records and see if there's anything that you potentially missed. Did you miss something? Did you miss an opportunity to get something service connected? If you did, You're going to need to dust that off, find that condition in the schedule of ratings as well. Now you have the opportunity for new service-connected conditions that you may have forgot about, and you have the potential for any increases that you may be able to file for now. And if you don't, that's okay, because now at least you know if my condition gets worse, I can put in for an increase. Now the caveat here is you're not going to be able to do that for every condition. For example, if you're rated at 50% for migraines and your migraines actually get even worse, you're already at 50%. That's the maximum. Tinnitus, ringing in the ear, currently, again, we're in October of 2024, currently tinnitus would rate you 10%. If it got worse, you're not looking at anything higher than that because there's only one rating. So you're not going to file for an increase for tinnitus because you're already at the maximum, which is also the minimum, I guess. And so here you are. You got a stack of potential increases. You have maybe a short stack of maybe a potential service connection that maybe you had missed originally, not really understanding fully what you could file for. I have seen many times that as people got out of the military and went to file their claim years ago, they thought it could only be injuries, an injury that I sustained in service, and I'm going to file for that. They didn't realize that they could file for other things like hiatal hernia or migraines or degenerative disc disease or anything like that. So now you have this opportunity, you have those things set. Now you need to look at secondary conditions. I would look at, okay, well, did I develop any other conditions because of these service-connected conditions? Great example is if you have some sort of a joint issue, you develop some arthritis in there, right? So if you have an injury, then you could develop some arthritis. Well, that's potentially, there are two ratings, right? So you have your injury rating and then you have your arthritis rating. So you want to look for any secondaries. Now, my thought process here is a lot of times people aren't really fully aware of what would lead to what. So there's two kind of schools of thought here. I think by doing this, there's two kind of, I guess, cascading effects of researching this. One, research. Okay, research, type in your condition and secondary effects or secondary conditions. Or conditions caused by this condition, right? Variations, right? Just type in different things in Google, see what comes back. Might be the Mayo Clinic that says this condition will typically lead to this or this, right? Or it might have 5 or 6 other things. Now, if you have one of those things, well, now you kind of have a foothold for a secondary condition, and you can work with your doctor to get them to write you a letter that due to your service-connected condition, you now have developed this other condition. And then that way you have your information tying that together and showing that that is a secondary condition. Now, let's say that you do not have any secondary conditions today. That's okay. Good, right? But now you've kind of enlightened yourself a little bit about, okay, well, this could lead to me developing that. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye open for that. So it's the awareness piece, right? In addition, you need to think about, okay, here you are, you have all of these things now. You have your increases, you have your potential missed service-connected conditions, and now you have your secondary conditions. You want to, again, research in the schedule of ratings for all of these conditions and understand what the VA is looking for so you can make sure that you are getting the appropriate rating. You need to speak the VA language, make it easy for them to assign the appropriate rating. You work with your doctor, get them to put that into your medical records, all of that good stuff. If you need to get a DBQ, something like that, especially if it's a private doctor, VA's a bit hesitant, but private doctor, getting them to complete a DBQ, great, but you want to make sure that you give them the correct information to put into the DBQ. Otherwise, it's just a blank form, and then you don't know what's being put in there. So you need to have a real conversation with your doctor about what the VA is looking for. Now, all of this should be front-loaded with intent to file, right? Sorry, I didn't say it first, but you should absolutely file an intent to file first. Then start working on all this stuff. If you do not have your service treatment records, well, then you should order them. SF-180 is that form, SF-180, standard form 180. Order your records. Order everything. Even if you think you have them all, order it. Why not? Get them, go through them. You never know what you might stumble upon that turned into a condition today. So just wanted to kind of highlight, I guess, the three things that you should be doing, and that you really need to take the conditions that you have today and really cross-reference that with the schedule of ratings so you can see if there's room for an increase or not. Find out if you have any other service-connected conditions that you could file for that maybe you had missed. And lastly, the secondary conditions. Putting all those things together really helps get to the next stage as far as VA ratings are concerned. Now, I also want to throw out there just kind of a thought on reaching that 100%. Of course, not everybody's going to be able to reach 100%. Just what it is. But I will tell you this, that more people would probably qualify for 100% than you think. And the reason why is because 100% rating is not the maximum rating, right? It's not reserved for the worst situations that veterans face. Special monthly compensation and being solely on that rating schedule is for the veterans out there that had it worse than most of the others, right? So the 0 through 100% is kind of the catch-all. All veterans can kind of fall into that. Then as things get worse or were worse, you either kind of ride kind of this hybrid, you're on the 0 to 100 and you get a little bit of SMC added, or you slide all the way into the SMC schedule, the special monthly compensation rating schedule, and that's what you're paid out of, and it pays out substantially higher than the 0 through 100%. So don't self-segregate out and thinking, I have my hands and my feet and, I shouldn't rate 100% simply because I don't think that I'm that bad. It's the wrong attitude. You need to just be rated appropriately, and if that takes you to 100%, then it does. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. In time, conditions get worse, secondary conditions come in, that type of stuff, and you never know, it might turn into 100%. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.